Welcome to Networking Now. I am Jen Potter, your host, and I am joined today with Ingrid Perez. She is an immigration lawyer from Florida, and I have her here today to talk about different things for international entrepreneurs. And I'm just going to jump right in and I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and who you serve.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jen, for having me. So my name is Ingrid Perez. I'm an immigration attorney. My office is located in Orlando, Florida, and I help people from all over the world, really, immigrate to the United States. And I deal with a wide array of visas, whether it's for, immigration through family, or employment, or through business. I also deal with non-immigrant visas, which, range from temporary work visas, visitors visas, things like that. And I love, doing what I do. I get to meet really amazing people, amazing entrepreneurs, just really see wonderful things that my clients are doing, and seeing how they contribute to the United States through their work and their businesses. So it's a really great profession. I really love what I do.
And I think it's so unique because there's all different types of law. And what made you get into immigration law?
Well, I'm an immigrant, and so for me, it's a very natural sort of, appeal. I like to help other immigrants, and I'm an entrepreneur myself. I have my own law firm, I'm helping others do the same thing that I'm doing, right? Live the American dream. So to me, that's very appealing. And I speak three different languages. I speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So I have a wide array of potential clients that want services in their language preference. So for me, that's also beneficial. And also, I just really love helping people. Right? I was a public defender before I transitioned to immigration law. I love helping people. I love sort of demystifying the world of immigration. Immigration can be really scary, really challenging. It's expensive, it's time consuming, it's uncertain. I always tell people that, when you're seeking immigration visa, you're seeking immigration benefit. It's not something that's guaranteed. So it's really important to do things right the first time around, because if you don't, you're going to have to be redoing your case. It's going to be more expensive, and it may actually, hurt you if you don't do it right. So I think that those are my motivations, just really helping people, offering really great services, maintaining my caliber of services and what I can do for immigrants all over the world.
Which is so amazing because I feel like you said, right, the American dream. Everybody deserves that opportunity. And the fact that you were able to do it and now you help other people, I think is really amazing because that's what we're made up here, right? Like it's literally all immigration. My family is from all different parts of the world. So I think it's really amazing. And so being that you're in immigration law and you have people that are trying to do what you did, how do you get your clients, if you don't mind me asking? Like, how do they know about your services and how to kind of follow that path? Because it is unique for someone who is immigrating over. How does someone find you in your specialty?
Yeah, it's I like to think that there's 8 billion people in the world, so I probably have, I don't know how many billion people are in the United States, but I have a huge potential pool of clients. So for me, at least internally, I made the strategic decision to focus on some specific types of visas, right? Focus on specific cases that I personally like to do and that I'm good at. So I do a lot of family immigration and I do a lot of employment-based immigration. So I focus my marketing through those, I guess client identities, you should call it. So I get a lot of referrals from existing clients, but I also do a lot of marketing outside of my firm, to promote my services. I find actually a lot of people on LinkedIn that reach out to me, on social media, through my website. People find me on Google. They'll just go to my website, ibplaw.com, and I'm right there, and they contact me. But because we've been able to really reach quite a few people, I get a lot of referrals from clients who are satisfied. And that is always a wonderful sort of way to get new clients, because they already are coming in knowing that you can do the job, that you can solve the problem. So, mostly through referrals. And I'm a small business. I'm growing my law firm. So unfortunately, sometimes I do have to refer cases out if I can't handle it. But we're growing. I actually just hired an attorney to work for me, and we have staff, and I'm actually in the process of hiring more people. So hopefully we'll be able to take on more cases and help more people.
And that's amazing, knowing that you've only been in business for, your own business for just a few years, but you're already taking that step and you're growing and you're hiring. So you know what you're doing is actually working. And I find that word of mouth is the best, when it comes to business, because a referral from someone who is like, this works, that you're going to continue to get business. And all of my businesses are only word of mouth. And at first I was really nervous about that. We do have to do networking and we do have to get out there. But with such a niche, sometimes even networking in local groups might actually be difficult. But, if you don't mind me asking, before we get into, the law part of it, because you did say that you network, do you find that traditional networking groups actually do help, or no?
I think, it has changed over time. Before COVID, I was out in the community a lot talking to people and getting my name out there, and people would get to know me and they would, think of me when they needed an immigration service, right? After COVID or during COVID, I really had to adapt and really focus my efforts more to online marketing and online referrals. So I was able to, I learned how to leverage that a lot better, I think, right? And also realizing that your time is so valuable, and for the services that I offer, I don't necessarily always need to be in the community, although I do really enjoy being within the community. But like I said, my clients are all over the world, and, I get hired by people that are in Texas, California, different continents, and then they'll hire me without meeting me in person. And I think, establishing yourself as an authority figure in your industry, whatever that may be, having an online presence is really important because people are digital now. Everybody has an internet, everybody has internet for the most part. And they'll look for you and they want to build that rapport with you. And they do that, by maybe seeing your videos or reading your newsletter or visiting your website and learning more about you. I think that personal connection is so important for our businesses, especially when we're offering such personal services. And I think that COVID taught me that. I know it taught a lot of other entrepreneurs that as well, to sort of shift the way that we market and really establishing your personal brand, whatever that may be, is critical for any service or product that you're offering.
And I think that's really important. And I'm really happy that you touched upon all of those things, because it's one of those things where if I didn't know what you did prior to our interview, because I got to learn a little bit about you before, I would have never actually thought of that, the type of law that you do. I know that it exists, but I wasn't sure how that intertwined with entrepreneurship.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's really interesting to me, because I actually have a friend who could have used your services a few years ago. And and she actually may still could use those services, because she needed a visa. She actually had a business here, and it turned into like a debacle, and not many people could help her. And after learning about what you do, I just started thinking, right? I looked at the show notes and I was like, oh, I didn't even know that this was a thing. Like, when I looked at the question. So, I want to jump into that, because there are, from what I've recently learned, that there are specific visa categories for people with businesses. That
Mhm.
is amazing. I had no idea. As a person who owns several businesses, and I know plenty of, immigrants, this is amazing. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, what those categories look like, how they can help entrepreneurs, and I'll just let you just take it over.
Sure. So usually, what I like to start with is asking a potential client, what do you intend to do in the United States? Meaning, are you looking to live here forever, like permanently, or are you looking for a visa that may be temporary, that allows you to invest in the United States, operate your business here, allows you to work on your business, and you're comfortable renewing that visa, because there are immigrant and non-immigrant options, right? Immigrant options are going to lead to permanent residency. One day you can become a US citizen. Non-immigrant options are options that don't lead to permanent residency, right? These are options that you have to constantly be renewing. So I start with that, and it depending on what the person say, depending on what they say, then we start narrowing down our conversation. So, for example, if a person comes to me, and I've had this situation actually recently, a person from a different country is here in the United States studying. They're studying a bachelor's degree, and they're actually a very successful business owner in their home country, and they want to explore options of living here in the United States. So we started talking about their business abroad. What do they do and what can they do here in the United States? And I learned that this person has a huge operation in their home country and they want to do the same thing here in the United States. So for that option, for example, or for that specific set of circumstances, we can talk about a visa called the EB-2 National Interest Waiver. The EB-2 National Interest Waiver is one of the several categories of immigrant visas that allows a person who doesn't have a job offer, like an entrepreneur, for example, to immigrate through employment. But they are self-sponsoring. They don't need a job offer. They don't need to go through an otherwise very lengthy and difficult process of having a job offer through a U.S. employer. So the national interest waiver waives that requirement as long as you can show that the work that you're coming to do in the United States is in the national interest. And there's so many entrepreneurs doing work that's in a national interest, So for example, think about infrastructure, right? Infrastructure is very hot right now. If you're an entrepreneur and you're coming to the United States to work on, a specific niche within the infrastructure industry, like installing, I don't know, internet, or internet cables or things like that, that could be a way for you to come to the United States through your business. I spoke to another young woman the other day who works in water. She installs these water processing systems for homes, buildings, universities. So these are all things that people can come to the United States and do through their own entrepreneurial endeavor.
Which is really amazing. And because we don't think about those things, right? We think of, the typical business, not something that is that niche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think for the purposes of immigration, if you want to immigrate through an EB-2 NIW, for example, I always like to think about, what is the problem? What is the benefit that this person is bringing to the United States? What is the problem that they are going to solve? So, right now, infrastructure is really hot. Right now, mechanical engineers who offer services on their own, maybe through their own consultancy, right? You don't necessarily need to be a business owner who is going to create, this huge enterprise and create a lot of jobs. You may be a business owner if you have your own consultancy firm, right? And you share your expertise with stakeholders in your industry. And if your work is in a national interest, you may have a way to live permanently in the United States with a green card through this specific type of visa. So it's actually, a very interesting, and I love working these cases. They are difficult. You really have to tell the client's story on paper and explain how they're well positioned to do what they're saying they're going to do. Is there a need in the United States for their services or their product, right? And how will it benefit a greater strategic interests of the United States? And I love doing these cases, and when you get an approval, it just feels so rewarding.
That's so amazing. And thank you so much for that. We're going to cut to our first break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about these visas and how people can reach out to you and be able to possibly obtain them.